Hello and welcome to this recording of our VocTech Activate Grant Fund workshop presentation. The name of our organisation is Ufi VocTech Trust, which we normally shorten to UFI, and I'm Jane Holmes, Associate Director of Grants. During the workshop, I talk a bit about UFI and tell people more about this particular grant call for about 15 minutes. I cover what we're looking for, what a good application looks like, and give lots and lots of top tips. If you come to a workshop, you're then able to ask questions of a member of the team in a breakout session, and then we come back into the main room for further questions from everybody before we close. So do book into one if you still have the opportunity. So Voc what? VocTech. We support VocTech, vocational technology, digital tools that help people gain and maintain the skills they need for work. We see VocTech as an enabler, supporting better outcomes for learners and enabling learning to happen in new and different ways, which deliver for learners and for employers. UFI's mission is to harness the power of technology to improve skills for work, opening up access and achieving positive, lasting outcomes for those furthest from opportunity. As a charitable trust, we are quite deliberate about the furthest from opportunity definition of our learner audience, and you'll hear me talk about people who have been underserved or overlooked as we move through this presentation. We believe in a future where everyone is included, everyone is skilled, everyone is empowered, and everyone benefits. As you can see from this slide, we've really started to see the catalytic impact of UFI's work over the past 10 years or so. More than 1 million learners are impacted by the work we fund every year, and we've spent over £37.5 million in grant funding and direct investment so far. So let's talk more about this specific grant call, VocTech Activate 2025. Grants of between £30,000 and £60,000 are available for projects of between 3 and 12 months duration. We do not mark down applications which reasonably request the full £60,000, so do ask for what you need. And all projects must aim to solve a vocational learning problem to help adults get the skills they need for work. So VocTech Activate is this specific grant call, but what is it? VocTech Activate is grant funding for innovative projects using digital tools and approaches to help adults gain skills for work. And by adults, we mean anyone over 16 who is available for work. Specifically, it targets new ideas with the potential to transform how adult vocational learning happens. VocTech Activate provides a test bed where new ideas which solve real vocational learning problems can be scoped and tested in a supportive environment. And it is rooted in a real-world understanding of your learners and users and the problems, issues and opportunities in the vocational sector. Now, it's important to say what we don't grant fund as well as what we do. So I'm going to let you pause this slide in the recording and read it. You'll see there's a link there to our frequently asked questions where there is more information on those things that we don't grant fund. So what kind of ideas are we looking for? We are really interested in big ideas that have the potential to transform vocational learning. We need to understand how you see your idea having a significant impact in the vocational learning market. And by that, we mean learning that will help lots of people gain skills, get jobs, get better jobs, or upskill within their jobs. We're also interested in ideas that have the potential to scale and reach a large number of learners or users in the longer term. So if your community of learners or users is relatively small, have a think about how you could make what you plan to produce a wider, more universal offer that others could adapt and adopt. We are interested in products and services that can reach those furthest from opportunity, those not well served by mainstream provision. Perhaps those whose training needs are overlooked in a current role or those who didn't thrive in a classroom environment. We're very interested in ideas which are clear in their understanding of and access to a defined learner group or test group of users with a clear, evidenced understanding of their challenges. And ideas which tackle specific vocational skills gaps with good connections to sectors, employers, and potential employment. And finally, we're not just another funder. We are about building capacity and long-term relationships. We'd like to hear how you will contribute to the wider UFI family and what our support will help you achieve. Everything we fund supports our mission to harness the power of technology to improve skills for work, opening up access and achieving positive, lasting outcomes for those furthest from opportunity. And this grant call is focused on the new. So it could be the development of innovative tech or the innovative use of existing tech. It could be using established technology in a new way or for a new user group. For example, taking tech currently only deployed in schools or universities and developing it for use in further education, in the workplace and for workplace skills. It could be bringing new technology, including cutting-edge technologies to vocational problems, whatever they may be, wherever there's a community that's poorly served, from artificial limb technicians to pest controllers and everything in between. We can support ideas for new tech, new markets, new communities of learners, and we're happy to welcome new project teams. The emphasis here is on the new. VocTech Activate has been designed to support innovation, and we are okay with risk. This is about sharing that risk in order to encourage the development of new digital vocational learning tools, enabling organisations like yours to test new ideas and work out the next steps necessary to plan a route to market and long-term success. Now, during the workshop, I now break for a quick quiz with the question: in which one of these sectors haven't we grant funded a VocTech Activate project? It's not a trick question. We've got the environmental rewilding sector, the pest control sector, the drainage sector, the dental sector, and the maritime sector. So if you want to know the answer to that, you can either come along to one of our workshops, or you can look at our directory, our VocTech directory on our website, which will tell you about all the applications that we've grant funded so far. Each of the funded projects on that list demonstrated an understanding of their learner audience, of why they were overlooked or underserved, of the problems they faced, what other solutions were available in their ecosystem, and how their new tech solution could better address their learners' problems. So all those organisations made good applications. So let's talk about what a good application looks like. Our grant application form takes you through all of these points. Show a clear adult vocational learning issue or problem. We get a lot of applications with a very vague problem and this could fix everything type solution. And they often betray a lack of detailed knowledge of learners and of their problems. So be clear and specific. Explain why what you plan to develop is new, supported by evidence of what's already available. Show us that you know your sector, what's already out there, and tell us what it is you plan to develop and why that's new. Describe the technology and the impact you expect it to have on your vocational learning problem. While you're describing, make sure you explain what you mean by the terminology you use. For example, if something is immersive, is it a flat screen or a headset headphones and controllers, or is it underwater? Be really clear about what you mean by the words you're using. Show us your ambition and your potential to scale, and explain why and how your learner group is not well served by mainstream provision. Be practical, avoid jargon, and please keep it simple. There is a very deliberate word count for each of these questions on the application form. That's between 100 and 200 words maximum, so you do need to be concise and clear. So think about your application within the word count in terms of the vocational learning problem we are attempting to solve is, we will address this vocational learning need by, our solution is innovative because, and our vocational learners will benefit by. And remember to provide evidence, be clear, be practical, and avoid jargon. As I said, many of the applications we get simply aren't clear enough. They may have a good idea, but very vague ambitions. And this lack of clarity gives away a lack of thought and analysis about the problem, its solution, and where it fits in the existing ecosystem of tools and approaches. So be clear about exactly what problem it is that you're trying to solve and really dig into the needs of your learner group to make sure A, it really is a problem, and B, that your proposed solution will solve it. We do ask a question on our application form about whether you've used AI to help you write your application, and if so, which tool. You won't be assessed on this. We're just curious on that point and are obviously interested in how technology is being used, given that technology is our raison d'etre. However, as a note of interest or warning, what we've observed is that we can usually tell when an application has been written using AI. What we see is that they are usually superficially plausible. They read well, but they are often very bland, and they don't reflect the in-depth knowledge of the applicant, of you. We all know that AI works by analysing what the next word is most likely to be, and in that it creates very standard and average sentences. This is a competitive grant process, so my advice to you is don't be average. If any of you are planning to create AI-based tools, it's obviously important to keep a close eye on the changing AI landscape. The UK government issued a white paper on AI regulation in March 23, which highlights 5 pillars of ethical AI use. If you're into AI, you will probably be already all over this, but those pillars and their mitigations are outlined here, and we will expect any application involving AI to explicitly reference these. Also, if you are planning to create an AI-based tool, please explain how the AI is benefiting your learners or users. If you just say you're creating an AI-powered platform, for example, we won't be any the wiser. And it's even more important to do your research on what's already out there, as it's moving so very fast. So what else do you need to know? How to apply. It's an online application process. You open an account at ufi.co.uk, and My UFI is up in the top right-hand corner. You can use your account to access, complete, save and submit your applications. It is a 2-stage application process with a review point at each stage. If you are successful at stage 1, you will be invited to continue to stage 2. Assessment at each stage is undertaken by an external expert panel, and final funding decisions are made by our Board of Trustees. And now some practical tips. Please don't use Safari. Our system, which is Salesforce based, just doesn't work properly with it. The application system shows you which page you are on. You can see the 2 green ticks there, which means I've completed pages 1 and 2, which is some information about you and your organisation. And I'm on page 3 at the moment, which is the name of your project. It's a maximum of 80 characters for the name of your project, and you'll get an error message if you try and go above that. In fact, if you get any error messages while you're completing the whole application form, it's likely because you've gone over a word limit. So do have a look at that first before you get in touch with us. You'll see at the bottom right, there's a save and continue button. Once you've got to this stage, to this page, the system will create your application and save the information you input as you go along. So you can log in, log out, log back in again at any point to go back to your application. Page 8 is where it looks different at the bottom right. This is where you save and submit your application. Please don't submit until you are absolutely sure this is your final version. Everything else will have been saved up to this point, so you can go back to it at any time. But once you've hit save and submit, you won't be able to change it. When you submit, there's a tick box where you agree to our terms and conditions if you're awarded a grant. There's a link to them at that point, and they're available on our website at any time too. Just search for terms and conditions. And here's the whole timetable. The deadline for submissions of Stage 1 applications is 5 o'clock on the 4th of February. We do not accept late applications. If you experience technical problems, but while completing or submitting your application, you must tell us as soon as possible via info@ufi.co.uk. Please don't leave it till the last minute. Stage 1 applicants will be advised near the end of February whether they have been successful and will be invited to submit their Stage 2 application. Stage 2 includes a set of questions which are individual to your particular application and allow us to ask you to clarify or strengthen specific areas of your proposal. The deadline for Stage 2 applications is 5 o'clock on the 18th of March, and our Board of Trustees will reach final decisions on funding in early May. And finally, as a charity itself, UFI must ensure that any grant given to any organisation that is not also a charity demonstrates public benefit. This means being able to see evidence of how the proposed approach will benefit learners, how the community of learners has been defined, and the total size of the group the project could reach. Applicants must always explain clearly why they need UFI funding to support their project and how UFI's charitable funding will make a difference. Finally, we need to make sure that our funding is not more than is necessary to deliver the project and is not replacing private funding. The questions we ask in our application forms help us understand how your proposal can have a beneficial public outcome, both immediately and in the longer term. Now, if we were in a live workshop, this is where you would be moving into a breakout room for about 20 minutes to have a chat with other people involved in VocTech and to ask any questions or bounce around ideas with a member of the UFI team. We do find that people who come to a workshop tend to be more successful in their applications. So if you have time, I would highly recommend you come along to one of those. Then we have final questions back in the main room where we ask live all the questions that come in from anybody who has any remaining ones. And then we'll move on to our summary. So grants of between £30,000 and £60,000 for projects lasting 3 to 12 months to test early stage ideas for how digital tech can help people obtain skills for work. There's a lot of advice and guidance on our website. There's the grant fund guidance, the eligibility checker, a set of top tips, and you can find our T's and C's. And the closing date is 5 o'clock on the 4th of February. We do not accept late applications. And my top tip is be clear. Perhaps get someone completely unfamiliar with what you want to do to read your draft application. It's so hard for our assessors to properly assess your application if they can't understand what it is you plan to do. I hope that's been useful, and I look forward to some brilliant applications. Thanks very much.